Hebrews, Hebrews, Hebrews. This is Prophets of Awakening. This is our Israelite Women Advanced Bible Study. The 13th of October, 2022. We're gonna pick up where we left off last night on Clubhouse with the Book of Joshua. Check out our videos on YouTube, Prophets of Awakening channel. There's a lot of information being given, and the videos will connect dots for you. And these videos will bring you to the truth of the Hebrew scriptures, which is Tanakh. And if you understand the information that is being presented, like, share, and subscribe to Prophets of Awakening, and hit the notification button. This is a non-Messianic channel. We deal with the Tanakh and the Torah. Tanakh is the Old Testament, the so-called Book of Remembrance, and the Torah is the first 5 books of the Old Testament that was given to Moses by the Lord of Hosts on Mount Sinai. Shalom and welcome to Prophets of Awakening, and welcome to our Advanced Bible Women's Advanced Bible Study. Okay, we're going to do our normal, which is a moment of silence, prayer, Psalms. We're going to do some women's health moment, some current events, some need to know information. And then we'll do a little Q&A. Then we're going to pick up where we left off last night with Joshua. Okay. So with that being said, this moment of silence is for the Lord of Hosts and all that He's doing to bring about our prophesied deliverance in these last days. Okay. And if you've been waking up every morning with your eyes open, you can see what's going on. We're in the midst of our Redeemer coming to get us, to deliver us. O Lord, righteousness and uprightness belongeth unto thee. Therefore we come before thee at this hour, seeking thy face and looking for righteousness and uprightness, that we may walk before thee as our servants David and Solomon and Samuel and Hezekiah did, that we may walk before thee in truth and in righteousness and in rightness of heart. Give unto us, O Lord, an understanding heart, that we may discern between good and bad. For you possess the power to turn us, O Lord. For we desire to walk after thee, O Lord, and to keep your commandments and your testimony and your statutes with all our heart and soul, and to perform the words of the covenant that was written down by your prophets. O Lord, allow thy face to shine upon thy people. Hear our plea, hear and do, O Lord, and hide not thy face from us, for we need you so very much at this hour. Peace be unto you. Okay. That being said, I'm going to read a psalm. Okay. I'm going to read Psalm 36. It's the steadfast love of God. Okay. It's a psalm of David. The transgressions of the wicked saith within my heart, that there is no fear of God before his eyes. For he flattereth himself in his own eyes, until his iniquity be found to be hateful. The words of his mouth are iniquity and deceit. He hath left off to be wise and to do good. He devises mischief upon his bed. He setteth himself in a way that is not good, and abhorreth not evil. Thy mercy, O Lord, is in the heavens, and thy faithfulness reacheth unto the clouds. Thy righteousness is like the great mountains. Thy judgment are a great deep, O Lord. Thou preservest man and beast. How excellent is thy loving kindness. O God, therefore the children of men put their trust under the shadow of thy wings. They shall be abundantly satisfied with the fatness of thy house, and thou shalt make them drink the rivers of pleasure. For with thee is the fountain of life, and in thy light shall we see light. O continue thy loving kindness unto them that know thee, and thy righteousness to the upright in heart. Let not the foot of pride come against me, and let not the hand of the wicked remove me. They are they are the workers of iniquity, fallen. They are cast down and shall not be able to rise. So that was Psalms 36. Okay, anybody have any comments on that? It says that 36 and 2, he says the wicked, right? He flatters himself in his own eyes until his iniquity be found to be hateful. And his words, the words of his mouth are iniquity and deceit. And he hath left off to be wise and to do good. You know? I mean, if you can't see that, it's something wrong, right? Okay. So, with that being said, shalom. Okay, shalom. Okay, so we're gonna go into our women's health, our health moment, get some health information to help us.
Shalom, I hope so. Shalom, everyone. I'm going to talk about the benefits of onions. Onions are bulb-shaped vegetables that grow underground. They are grown worldwide and closely related to chives, garlic, scallions, shallots, and leeks. Onions vary in size, shape, and color, but the most common types are white, yellow, and red. Their taste ranges from mild and sweet to sharp and spicy. These vegetables contain various vitamins, minerals, and potent plant compounds that have been shown to promote health in many ways. In fact, the medicinal properties of onions have been recognized since ancient times when they were used to treat ailments like headaches, heart disease, and mouth sores. Though all vegetables are important for health, certain kinds offer unique benefits. And here are some impressive health benefits of onions. They are packed with nutrients. Onions are low in calories, yet high in nutrients, including vitamin C, vitamin B, and potassium. May benefit heart health, um, loaded with antioxidants. In fact, they contain over 25 different varieties of antioxidants. Due to the many beneficial compounds found in onions, consuming them may help reduce high blood pressure. They may boost bone density, though dairy gets much of the credit for boosting bone health. Many other foods do too, including onions. They may help support strong bones. Okay, onions can fight potentially dangerous bacteria such as E. coli. Onions are a rich source of fiber, which help boost digestive health, improve bacterial balance in your gut, and benefit your immune system. These nutrient packed vegetables contain powerful compounds that may decrease your risk of heart disease and certain cancers. Onions have antibacterial properties and promote digestive health, which may improve immune functions. Onion may make you cry, but they sure are worth it. Onions offer a flavor boost to any dish and can be eaten at breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You can saute, boil, steam, bake, grill, caramelize, roast, or even fry onions. Now I'm going to read Numbers chapter 11, verses 1 through 6. This is when the people complain. Verse 1. And when the people complained, it displeased the Lord, and the Lord heard it, and his anger was kindled. And the fire of the Lord burnt among them and consumed them that were in the uttermost parts of the camp. Verse 2. And the Lord cried unto Moses, and when Moses prayed unto the Lord, the fire was quenched. 3. And he called the name of the place Taberah, because the fire of the Lord burnt among them. And the mixed multitude that was among them fell a lusting. And the children of Israel also wept again and said, who shall give us flesh to eat? Verse 5. We remember the fish we did eat in Egypt freely, the cucumbers and the melons and the leeks and the onions and the garlic. Verse 6, but now our soul is dried away. There is nothing at all besides this manna before our eyes. That was Numbers chapter 11, verses 1 through 6.
Okay, appreciate that information. I hope somebody got something out of that. And yeah, okay. So we're gonna go into our current events right quick. I don't know if anybody
Channel Deep in Moments. Today's topic, de-dollarization exploded globally. 40 countries refuse to use US dollar. Recently, the Federal Reserve has been raising interest rates and the dollar index has been moving higher, reaching 114 last week, a new high in nearly 20 years. US dollar has used its global dominance to raise interest rates recklessly and deliberately direct the flow of capital, making countries around the world increasingly dissatisfied. De-dollarization has become a common demand of many countries, which has led to the dollar's global dominance is declining. Earlier, India's central bank followed Russia's example and introduced a rupee settlement mechanism, which took effect immediately. The Kremlin has also said that Russia and Iran will drop the dollar in bilateral transactions. Even Australia, which has been following the US in recent years, has historically settled a batch of iron ore using the yuan. And the U.S. Treasury recently released a report showing that the two major debtors of the U.S. dollar are also continuing to sell off U.S. debt. All signs seem to point to a general trend of global de-dollarization, which is accelerating. Past history shows that the longest a currency has held a global leadership position is generally about 100 years. And the dollar has been the world's reserve currency for more than 100 years, and it seems that the time has come to give way. Goldman Sachs has found through extensive research that the challenges now facing the dollar are very similar to those faced when the pound was lost to the world. The hyperinflation currently experienced by the US has led to a rapid shrinkage in the purchasing power and value of the US dollar, and given that the US now has $3.1 trillion in debt, there is a risk of a future default. In addition, some experts say that some of the financial restrictions imposed by the US using the monopoly channel of the US dollar will eventually weaken the dollar's position. Moreover, the US economy is slowing down and is likely to fall into recession. In the past, the strong position of the dollar was based on the strong US economy, and once the US economy declines, the dollar's position is bound to be dragged down. To further sanction Russia, the US and its allies announced the exclusion of several Russian banks from the Society for Worldwide Interbank Financial Telecommunication System and froze Russia's foreign exchange reserves. This has forced other countries to rethink the security of their payment systems and foreign exchange reserves. Many countries believe that in such a context, they must not put the economic power in the hands of the United States, and must take the initiative to explore the path of de-dollarization, otherwise their own country may be the next Russia. What are the specific aspects of de-dollarization? First, many countries continue to sell US debt. Because the US dollar is the world's currency, countries around the world have a large amount of US debt in their foreign exchange reserves. But since this year, a number of large holders of US debt have sold off a large amount of US debt in their hands. As of now, the total amount of US debt sold by these countries has exceeded $750 billion, which contains a number of large economic powers, such as China or Japan, etc. The figure of $750 billion sounds a lot, but it is only a very small part of the overall issuance figure of the United States. The United States itself is a country that uses debt to maintain its economic system, and they will build and invest in the country through a large amount of foreign debt. This model has some advantages, but it also has major drawbacks. Raising the largest amount of money with the fastest speed is indeed beneficial to the development and construction of their own country, but if they encounter problems in raising it and no one is willing to lend money to pay for it, economic development will be dealt a fatal blow. However, although the total amount of US debt in the hands of the countries is not too much, but the accumulation of small amounts become large. If the full amount of these US debts sold, their economies will certainly be greatly affected. Therefore, the United States can only find ways to prevent this phenomenon from happening. Second, the proportion of dollar settlement is declining. Up to now, several countries have announced the use of other currencies for settlement in international trade instead of the US dollar. The most notable of these is the oil-rich Middle East countries, whose moves not only caught the US off guard, but also made other countries realize that the dollar's dominance has begun to falter. US dollar is pegged to oil to become the world's only currency with devaluation risk hedging function. But if all the countries in the Middle East are no longer using the dollar for oil settlement, the dollar's dominance will suffer an unprecedented impact, and may even end the era of dollar hegemony. Third, many countries to step up the transport back to gold. The Bretton Woods system made the US dollar the only currency pegged to gold, and the US became the world's economic hegemon, depositing all the world's gold in its own banks. But as the system collapsed, more and more countries wanted to ship back the gold for their own security. But the United States will not easily agree. For them, a large number of lost gold also will affect the economic development of their own country. Fourth, the construction of a new international settlement system. At present, the BRICS countries, led by China and Russia, have already started to intend to establish an international settlement system centered on other currencies, and other countries have also started to make preparations for this. Take the BRICS countries as an example. Both China and Russia are among the 5 permanent members of the United Nations, with relatively high international status and strong economic and military power. Therefore, if the BRICS countries led by China and Russia take the lead in establishing a new international settlement system, it will definitely have a great impact on the dominance of the US dollar and even affect the world economic market. All these show the determination of the world countries to try to get rid of the influence of the dollar, and perhaps in the near future, the status of the dollar will no longer exist. At the moment, Russia is the most active country in terms of de-dollarization. Russia is buying a lot of RMB assets in order to enrich its foreign exchange reserves, and Russia has become the 3rd largest market for offshore RMB payments. In the past few years, Iran has officially used the yuan to replace the dollar as a foreign currency after it was kicked out of SWIFT, so the probability of using the yuan in Russia's trade with Iran is increasing. The State Financial Committee of the Bank of Russia has proposed a plan to launch a digital ruble by 2023 based on digital currency and to expand the use of Mir bank cards to enable international payments. Japan is currently building a cross-border transaction network for digital currency payments, and since Japan's main oil suppliers are Iran and Russia, which happen to be the 2 countries that strongly advocate de-dollarization, in the future, Japan will be able to add a cross-border transaction settlement system with Iran and Russia in the field of oil trading to bypass the dollar centrality. Economies such as Switzerland, Europe, and Canada have also formed a digital currency development group that could launch a global digital currency to replace the US dollar under the SDR in the future. The
Okay, do anybody understand what de-dollarization is?
Say that again, Brother Leonard. You was kind of low.
Do you understand what de-dollarization is? What that means? Okay, yeah, so they're getting all these countries, right now it's up to 40 countries. They no longer want to deal with the dollar. They're getting away from dealing with the dollar. And just like they started, how the dollar became powerful as it was through those countries, OPEC countries, and over the Arab countries over in the Middle East. Do your research, you find out that Saudi Arabia was a country America brought into existence, and Israel too. City-states, America behind America, but now them very same people that turned on America. The dollar got it straight from the oil and those, backed by the oil. But now the Arabs can turn away from the dollar. So you gotta know it ain't nothing but a matter of time. You know, it's not gonna be the dollar ain't gonna it's gonna be worthless because of the debt that we have. And that's one of the main reasons why people getting out of it. And all this stuff is happening at alarming speed, and nobody really paying no attention to it, but it's happening so fast. And yeah, so when they go down, they're going down hard, and they're going down fast. Okay.
So does sanctioning these countries, does that weaken the dollar?
In the past it didn't, but now it's back. It's a backfire because of what back in the day when America said something, they had everybody else so hoodwinked and had them so fearful of them that whatever they said, the rest of the nation backed them. But
Mm-hmm.
now because of everything that's happening, like when he put the sanctions on Russia, because of what America did to Russia, Russia turned around and cut off all the oil and gas to the NATO countries. So the NATO countries saying, wait a minute, what you did is directly affected us and got us in a pickle. So now it's all that's turning on, it's turning back on them. Now they are, I was showing you the other day where they protest all over Europe to because of what America got Russia under sanctions. And now you got countries breaking away from NATO. They don't want to deal with NATO, and they don't want to be connected to America, and they don't want to be connected to NATO. So this is the thing about that. Go ahead.
No, I was saying okay, because I was trying to get an understanding of that, like with all these sanctions going on, is that actually, you know what I'm saying, affecting the dollar?
Well, yeah, it's affecting the dollar.
Yeah.
It's negative. It's like the Most High Lord Host said. In the very end, He gonna make them look like fools because of what they've been doing. They think they've been doing the same old tricks for the last 3,000 years, and they think that they thought that was gonna keep on working. Now they're using the same tricks, but the tricks have backfired on them. And they're looking crazy, and so they have no comeback for it because they wasn't they thought that was gonna work and work and work and work, but it's playing out. It's backfiring. People don't want to, they ain't going for it no more.
Right.
Yeah.
And when I watched, a couple of videos on Russia, right? Because they like always 3 or 4 steps ahead, right? So it seems like, they have really, been preparing to, reduce the US dollar for a long time. It's just not like this is something new within the last year that has, been
Right.
plotted. It seemed like it's been in the works for a minute.
Oh, right. They all this time they like I said they dropped the 2 bombs on the Japanese. You think the Japanese people forgot that? No, they've been working ever since then behind the scenes and just waiting on the right opportunity. So it's like when the time comes, you're not gonna get they ain't gonna get no mercy. These people got issues with them from way back. A lot of these nations, and now it's coming back on them. It's the same way with Solomon and David. He had set David's kingdom up, and Solomon came on the scene because of all that the Lord had done, Lord of hosts had done with David. Solomon was living in peace, but Solomon turned from the Lord. So guess what? All the people when David brought about that peace, and all the people that David had conquered, they came back on Solomon. Rehoboam came back. Solomon was trying to kill Rehoboam. Then when you read it, all of David's enemies came back on Solomon's son. That's what brought about the nation splitting in half. So that's how the Most High works. So you can see him right now. You can see his hand at work right now because of all the atrocities that they've done in the past is coming back on him. And it's like the transatlantic slave trade is a thorn in their side. They're trying to act as if it's not affecting them, but it's a thorn in their side because the whole everybody find out now it's out in the open how wicked they are and how horrendous they are in the things that they did, and now they're trying to act like it, like it's in the past and it never really happened. But everybody know they're looking at it, and then the way that like they're doing right now with this Russian war and Ukraine war, they had painted another picture. Like they said, we was 2/3 human. They had this big old propaganda smear campaign from the Pope all the way down that made it look like it was legitimate and it was good when they done all the things they was doing. But now that's backfiring on them. People looking at it for exactly for what it is and exactly for who they are. Because you can't be human or call yourself part of the human family with the atrocities that you did to the people in your Baltimore from the transatlantic slave trade.
Right, right. And like I said, I try to have a little bit of knowledge about a little bit of everything. You're not going to know everything, but at least have some basic knowledge of stuff, right?
Right.
So, like I said, I was, watching some videos about the money, gold, blah, blah, blah. So
Right.
JP Morgan had, made a comment one time and said that, gold is money. Everything else is credit.
Right.
And that came up in the video you was playing. They were talking about gold. So,
right.
Sometimes, I don't know about everybody else, but when you're on YouTube and you research certain things, you come on again, it'll be in your, it'll pop up in your feed or on your timeline or whatever you want to call it. So sometimes when those videos come up, I click on them a minute and just watch them. So I'm like, wow. And then, from the things that you put out here on Prophets of Awakening, it just sort of brings everything together, for me. Because it's best to know a little bit about everything because they doing the most out there.
Right. That's why the things that's being brought up is brought up because of when you understand who the creator is. Like I was saying before, when you understand these angels and who the creator is, and the Israelites is talking to them. The Israelites are talking to them. So that means they have to be somewhere in the same ballpark with them to be conversing with them. All the rest of the nations weren't conversing with these angels. So that shows you right there how highly intelligent these Israelite people were. Because they dealing with these angels back and forth with them. Like I said, we talked about how young the boys was. And he told Jeshua when he raised him up, it was time for the Israelites to leave Babylon. He said, "You do the right thing. You're gonna be dealing with these men right here that's standing around. They men wonder there. They ain't no regular men." Yeah. So anyway, that's one of the situations. Like I said, I was in a situation the other day, where and it just gets under my skin because of with all that happened to us, which the Lord of hosts already said he was gonna reduce us down to nothing, and that if he's gonna lose our heritage and all that, and then he said in the latter days he's gonna start raising up men and start bringing his knowledge back because he's building his kingdom back up. Well, if you understand the impact of all the lies that these people have done, and then when you come across somebody and they bring you some information, you can't just jump out and reject it because it ain't going along with what you believe or what you think or what you didn't study. You gotta go in and rightly divide it and deal with it, and then after that you want to excuse it or whatever. But you can't just, as soon as somebody gives you some information, you come behind them and try to rebuke it. That's ignorant, especially as a Hebrew Israelite. You when you understand how the Most High is working, you can't put nothing to the side. He bringing people in your path and bringing information across to you for a reason. You got to deal with it. And so anyway, back to that gold thing you was talking about. Long before J.P. Morgan came, the Most High told us in the Genesis that when he formed Adam, he said the land of Havilah, where there's gold. So J.P. Morgan ain't the, he ain't the standard.
Right. He's not. Exactly.
Right.
Just making a statement on what I ran across. Right.
Oh
Exactly.
yeah. I'm just saying that like I was saying, if you don't have no information, stuff will come across your path and it just dissipate because you have nothing to grab hold to. You have no teeth or nothing, no information on it. You can't grab hold to it. That's the reason
Right.
why I try to put out as much information as I can.
Mm-hmm.
So when that do come up, you can have some kind of reference to it, or you can say that you heard it before.
Right.
Yeah. So that's what that is. So anyway, with anybody got any comments on that? Or anything they want to say? Okay. So I got one more video.
Twenty-four hours, hellfire has rained down on Ukraine, and unfortunately, that is only the beginning because a lot of these soy boys, these stupid people out there, do not understand what a modern conventional war actually looks like. And once the gloves get taken off, which they have because of this new war hawk who is in charge of Ukraine, General Armageddon, as he's called, like we talked about a couple days ago, it's only going to get worse. Now, guys, I know your time is precious, so I'm not going to waste it. Here are some of the reasons why NATO absolutely needs to win this war. You wonder why they're pouring billions upon billions of dollars into it? Well, I'm going to tell you why in a nutshell. The first major reason is the petrodollar, the global reserve currency, and global hegemony in general. They need to prevent hyperinflation by the dollar being dethroned by some other kind of currency. And if they lose this war, it is the beginning of the end. That 60 billion, 100 billion, whatever we're up to right now in terms of funding Ukraine is going to pale in comparison to the amount of money that is lost when the US dollar eventually gets dethroned. And they don't want to start that process. The other reason is that nobody trusts the United States or NATO for that matter anymore, Canada included. We've burned all the bridges and we've burned all the boats. So now it's
Okay, so let's look at that. So if you notice, you see how, like I said before, these people that went from one place to the next. They performed genocide on on the Australians. Those Aborigines in Australia. They came here to America, performed genocide on the Indian, and they came and performed genocide in Africa, and they came here and brought us over here, and they performed genocide on us over here. If it wasn't for the Lord of Hosts, we'd be decimated. But this is my point. What a lot of people don't understand about before they came and got us during the transatlantic slave trade in 1492. You got to know that all the history of who we were and the Israelites, and then where we at, what had happened to us, and where we ended up at. They knew where we was at. They did all kind of research on us and did all kind of covert information, sending people over there, spying on us, and coming in amongst us, finding out where everything was at and all that before they came. So guess what? Same thing happening to them now. What you see going on now, it ain't just happened overnight. Like I said, these Russians and Chinese been plotting this. They've been sending their people over here, going to their schools, all that, and at the same time dissecting everything that's going on in America, how it works and all that. And now we at this point right here, they tearing them down. They can't stop it. Like I say, they disrupted our trade. They tricked us out of stop dealing with oil and coal, and Russia ended up taking it over. And now they in a pickle. They need oil, coal, and all that now, but they've been tricked. Now they're trying to find a way out of it, but they can't find a way out of it because of it's like I said, the Most High set things in place, and you can't get around it. So he says, what goes up, got to come back down. What go around, come around. That's all you see happening. These Russians, Chinas, the Arabs, Iranians, been plotting on them, and not in concert. They playing in full effect. And like I said, if you know anything about the devil, when he gets you down, you can't expect all of a sudden he's gonna be nice. No, he's gonna chop your head off. That was his whole objective, to get you in a place where he can chop your head off. And when the time comes, that's exactly what he's gonna do. And that's where America is. And they brought it on themselves. That's where we at. So, and another point I want to make about that is another one of those big lies. It's only 4 beasts. Daniel tell you it's 4 beasts that could come upon the earth. They telling you already out the gate in Revelations, this Antichrist supposed to be coming, or the 10 toes is a 5th beast. Ain't no 5 beasts and no 5th beast. You're dealing with the 4th beast. We still dealing with the 4th beast. So guess what? We at the end of it. If we at the end of it, it's going down. That's what we're looking at. Ain't no 5th beast. Then Daniel said at the end of the 4th beast is when the saints of the Most High gonna come. Ain't no 5th beast. Ain't no all that going on. The 4th beast already didn't see the womb and the head. When those giants came through Hadrian Wall and ransacked Rome. Rome is the head. And then Constantine revived it. He received the womb and the head, but did live. He came back with the Holy Roman Empire and JC in the New Testament and revived the beast. Now we at the end of it. When we read in 2nd Ezra, it's 2 nations are gonna come at the end. They reserved for the end of the beast to bring it down. That's where we at. Okay. Yeah. So here go a little need to know information. Okay. And like I was saying before, just go right along with what I just said. And a lot of people not paying attention to it.
I am declaring a state of emergency in the city of New York and issuing an executive order. We need help, and we need it now.
I really wanted to get it right, trying to find some balance in my life. Hey, welcome back. Happy Friday to you guys. I hope you are doing well. Welcome back to this channel. If you are new, thank you for being here. If you're returning, thank you for coming back. If you are unsubscribed, please go ahead and subscribe. So let's get right into it, you guys. There's a lot going on. You see the title, and I want to speak on that. It may be a little sensitive to some people, and what I say, some will agree, some won't agree, but that's fine. We can all have our own opinions on things. And I won't get too deep into politics with it or anything like that. I'm going to keep it quick and I'm going to keep it simple and just give my thoughts on it. So you see that there is a state of emergency. I feel like there should be more than just a state of emergency for this particular state, which is New York. Okay. I feel that they need to come out and they need to issue a state of emergency for all the states, because right now we are facing a supply chain crisis. You saw the video, hopefully, where, I'm talking about OPEC cutting 2 million barrels of fuel to us. And this is going to have a trickle down effect all the way from truckers, farmers, to you, to businesses. Everybody's going to be affected by this. Inflation is going to continue to go up. I saw the other day, egg prices are starting to shoot back up. So you guys, they don't give us state of emergencies like a lot of countries do when they warn their citizens, hey, you need to get a little extra here or there. No, they let us who are out here prepping say it, but then call us kooks, or we don't know what we're talking about, but then turn right around and say, well, this is what we're facing, with no apologies for saying we are out of our mind for doing what we're doing. So what's happening right now is there is an influx of migrants coming over the border. And when they're coming into these southern states, well, those southern states are now sending them to asylum states who say, hey, we can you can seek shelter here. So they just said, well, hey, we'll just send them all to you. And so thousands and thousands of human beings are being shipped off to those states, and those states are now facing a state of emergency. So as of today, New York has issued a state of emergency, saying that it is not sustainable to be doing it, although they will continue to provide care, to provide those services, medical services that those people need. But y'all, we have a problem here in the United States where we're always helping those who come over the border. And I don't have an issue with that.
So these people right here, worse than the Pharaoh. The Most High sent Moses and told Moses to tell the Pharaoh to let his people go, right? But they doing worse than this. They just said they didn't did all what they did to us. Now they throwing us away. They trying to help everybody else but us. You think Pharaoh was wicked as hell and heart was hardened? What was they doing? And then you wonder why all this stuff is happening. Okay?
Until I see the fact that you're not really helping people who are here already, who were born here, who have issues financially surviving this economic collapse that we're facing right now, especially the veterans. Okay. More and more people are standing on corners, in intersections. Is actually dangerous out there trying to just get a few dollars. Now, some look like little scammers, but some you can tell that they are down on their luck, and you do what you can to offer them money or whatever. So the other day, my husband was leaving a Walmart, and usually on the corner there is a lot of panhandling going on. So now there is a sign posted up there saying you are not helping them by giving them money. Give that money to a charity or organization. So my husband started saying, well, so now you're trying to determine what I do with my money. You want me to give it to an organization where I don't know if it's going to even get to the people, because the CEOs and CFOs that run those businesses are getting paid extremely high amounts of money, and people are cash poor right now. Okay. I'm seeing a whole lot of estate sales around me. Where I live, there are a lot of seniors and older people, well-to-do area. Okay. Doctors and lawyers, retired and stuff like that. But I'm seeing a lot of estate sales. People cannot afford to pay their mortgage and either are being forced out or whatever. So we are facing an economic collapse. The collapse that we are headed for right now
definitely will affect everybody. You may not be feeling it right now, but you will. And especially with the fuel being cut and winter coming on so fast right now and expected to be extremely cold, a lot of people are not going to have money to pay their utilities. A lot of people are going to be living in the dark. This is nothing new. Growing up, we had our lights cut off many times. Even as a single mom, when I was single, my lights have been cut off. I've had to do extensions, and it's very difficult for mothers out there because they're trying to pay all of these bills, and you got medical bills that come in, you got food you got to do, you got all these other items that's, coming out of your pocket and not enough coming in. So again, I say, why don't we issue a state of emergency for all of the states? Why? Because we are in a state of emergency. If you look at all the things that are happening, connect the dots to each and every situation that keeps taking place. We are in a state of emergency. Why aren't they warning us to stock up? Why aren't they warning us of all the things that's going on in other countries? Just imagine if we didn't have internet and the ability to search and look at other countries and see what's happening there, like in Austria or Germany or Europe. You would be, lost for words. I'm lost for words. Because if we couldn't use the internet to see this with our own two eyes, they would not be telling us any of this is going on. And they're not telling us. Okay, people on YouTube, like me and other channels, are warning you. Get prepped up today. Okay, don't live in fear, live in preparedness. Now, what I'm about to say, I hope it don't offend you, but this is not new. Okay, this has been happening in our history. And unfortunately, sometimes history repeats itself. But this is not new. It's just a different group of people that is happening to right now. So look at this picture. What's new about it? Your ship.
Don't get me wrong. I love
shipping people off that you don't want, for whatever your reason is that you don't want them there, whether it's going to put a drain on your funding or whatever they're saying is the problem. When southern states did not want them there in their community, and they decided, well, if y'all so liberal, then we're just going to send them to you, as if they aren't human beings. This is not new. Okay, this stuff still exists. Hatred still exists, regardless of what they wrap it up in and say the reasons why they're doing it. Check out this video and leave some comments down below.
We are in a crisis situation. New York City now has more than 61,000 people in our shelter system. That includes thousands of New Yorkers experiencing homelessness and thousands of asylum seekers who have been bussed in over the past few months from other parts of the country. Almost 20,000 are children, and 1 in 5 of them is an asylum seeker. And every day, the total number gets higher. Every day from this point forward, we're setting a new record. This is a humanitarian crisis that started with violence and instability in South America, and it is being accelerated by American political dynamics. Thousands of asylum seekers have been bussed into New York City and simply dropped off without notice, coordination, or care. And more are arriving every day. This crisis is not of our own making, but one that will affect everyone in this city now and in the months ahead. New Yorkers deserve to know why this is happening and what we plan to do. Today, I want to talk about the challenge we face, what our response has been, what we are doing now, and what we need going forward. First, the challenge. Our city's exceptional ability to respond to a temporary crisis is being used by others to solve a long-standing national problem. More than 17,000 asylum seekers, mostly from South America, have been bused directly to New York City from our southern border since April of this year. Many of these asylum seekers don't know where they are going or what awaits them at the end of the line. Hundreds of buses have arrived in New York City. Since early September, we have seen an average of 5 to 6 buses per day. Yesterday, at least 9 buses arrived. The majority are adults who cannot legally work in this country. Many are families with school-aged children. Some are in desperate need of serious medical care. New York City has helped them all. But extending that care has come at a great cost to our city and our people. The asylum seekers arriving here need more than a hot meal or a bed for a night. Without the ability to work legally in this country, they need long-term shelter, health care, and a great deal of institutional support. It is straining the limits of our ability to provide care for New Yorkers in need, and it is burning through our city's budget. We expect to spend at least $1 billion by the end of the fiscal year on this crisis, all because we have a functional and compassionate system. Our right to shelter laws, our social services, and our values are being exploited by others for political gain. New Yorkers are angry. I am angry too. We have not asked for this. There was never any agreement to take on the job of supporting thousands of asylum seekers. This responsibility was simply handed to us without warning as buses began showing up. There's no playbook for this, no precedent. But despite all this, our city's response has been nothing short of heroic. From setting up welcome centers, organizing housing, healthcare, and transportation, New York City agencies and their community partners have done great work in the face of overwhelming need. New Yorkers, as always, have responded to this crisis by pulling together as one. From April through October, month after month, we have handled the arrival of hundreds of buses, providing triage, water, and urgent medical assistance. We've set up 42 hotels as emergency shelters. We have opened a navigation center led by Catholic Charities that provides case management, a range of settlement options, health services, including medical checkups, vaccinations, medication refills, and mental health services. We have also already enrolled over 5,500 children in school through Project Open Arms. Students who are high need and require extra support. We're providing legal information, fair fares transit support, and ID NYC enrollment to those who need it. I want to thank our fellow New Yorkers who have already given so much of their time, care, and resources to our brothers and sisters, including the Department of Social Services, New York City Emergency Management, the Mayor's Office of Immigrant Affairs, the Department of Health, the Department of Education, Health in Hospitals, Hotel Trades Council, and so many other agencies and New Yorkers that have stepped up. They deserve great credit for handling this crisis with speed and efficiency. Organizations like Catholic Charities, the Hispanic Federation, the United Way, Make the Road, and the New York Immigration Coalition have also provided invaluable help. But although our compassion is limitless, our resources are not. Our shelter system is now operating near 100% capacity. And if these trends continue, we will be over 100,000 in the year to come. That's far more.
Okay. Was anybody aware of that? Okay. Anybody heard anything about that?
I hadn't heard anything.
Yes, I saw that yesterday on the news. I was watching that. I think it was NBC or something like that.
Right. So you heard what the woman said, that it should be a state of emergency over the whole U.S. So that ain't just in New York. Those so-called asylum seekers, Mexicans, they trying to nickname it. They everywhere. They ain't just in New York. They jacking everything up everywhere. That's the thing that amazes me, how you sit there and look up, they in a 2022 Silverado. How you get that? And you supposed to be a asylum seeker. You sneaked over here, you sneaked over across the border with no ID, no nothing. How you got the credentials and the ID and the paperwork to get a brand new 2022 Silverado? So it's, like I said, it's something going on that, behind the scenes, and we ain't paying no attention to it. For example, when we was watching the first video, you notice how they brought up Goldman Sachs. Well, hell, Goldman Sachs the one triggered the 2008. The drama that came in 2008. It started with Goldman Sachs. Who is Goldman Sachs? These Edomites, these bankers. They the ones doing all this. But that person ain't connecting no dots. Right. You're right, bro. It's a setup. Big setup. Oh, yeah. Like I said, they've been doing this way back when they set up when they set Julius Caesar up and killed him. And so just for GP, I was the average person don't know it, and they look at you crazy when you tell them, but Caesarion, Julius Caesar had a whirlwind romance with Cleopatra, and he had Caesarion. Caesarion was the rightful heir. But Julius Caesar, when they killed Julius Caesar, he had adopted Octavian. So Octavian went to work right there immediately and got 3 legions, and he had to get rid of Caesarion, Cleopatra, and he had to get rid of Mark Antony, Caesar #1 general. So he went over to Egypt to kill him. But Cleopatra sent Caesarion away at 12 years old. I hope that's ringing a bell. She sent him away at 12 years old to another monastery. He had 2 Alexandria. When Alexander came on the scene, conquering the world, his objective was to build homosexual cities everywhere he went, because the Greeks are homosexual. So he was going from one place to the next, building all these homosexual cities. It wasn't just in Alexandria. He had homosexual cities all over the place called Alexandria. But he had another Alexandria up in the Himalaya Mountains with a monastery in it. And that's where she sent Caesarion. That's the 18 missing years, the so-called JC. So I said all that to say this. That's why he went the hell off when he was in the temple. And he turned over the tables and all that, because them was Edomites. Same Edomite bankers today. They the ones that killed Julius Caesar. Julius Caesar was in their pocket. He was giving money away. He was a people's person, just like they killed JFK. So they killed Julius Caesar, and he knew that. So when he came in the temple, that's why he went out, flipping the tables all over, because those bankers and those Edomites, the ones that killed up his father. Okay. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, that's how that goes. So these people ain't just started doing this. And like I say, you hear that, and you got brain cramps. Your mind can't handle it. But you go do your research. And then you find out just how far. Like my man said, it's 2 roads emerging in the woods. And forever and a day, you've been on the wrong road. You took the wrong road, the wrong fork in the road. You come to find that out if you do the research. When you hear these things and go do the research on it. Don't take my word for it. Okay. All right. So yeah. Anybody got any comments on that? The New York thing. So like I said, that's everywhere. This thing finna collapse. That's why the Most High got Israelites trying to set up sanctuaries, places of sanctuary here and there, because what's gonna happen? Yeah, it's gonna hit the fan. Like she just said, it ain't just in New York. It's all over the place, everywhere. And nobody has no money. Okay, money getting scarce, and don't let them devalue the dollar. When that dollar goes, that's it. It's hammer time. Okay. So here we go. I'm gonna open it up now for some Q&A. Anybody got any questions or comments about anything that they done over the last week? Over the weekend, Sabbath weekend, and anything you heard during the week on Clubhouse, or you came across? You got any questions about anything? Or something you want to come in on?
I have a question.
What you got?
Okay, so I hear a lot about things that are coming in December. Do you think December is like the beginning of the, the real downfall?
Well, when you if you get a chance, just Google Nightmare Winter. So it's not just December. It started in September, October, November, December, January, February, just winter. They got these so-called bankers or Illuminati, whatever you want to call them. It's going down this winter. When the sun come back out again, the world ain't gonna be the same. Yeah, so like I said, all of Europe right now is in an uproar. They protesting and riding all over the place, but they're not showing you all that. And the stock market is it's all over the place. We can't get no supplies and all that. Russia and China got that all jacked up. It's a matter of time. Oh yeah, like the lady was saying, you stock up. That's what it means. You should be doing that right now. Okay. So I'm gonna play this right here, and then I'm gonna read a couple chapter 2 out of Jasher. Yeah, I thought this was pretty interesting too. Hey, friends all over the world, Dr. Keenan here. Sorry, I'm laying down. Had a long day. I'm about to go minister in a few minutes, and at 4:44, I got this download. I was watching a video about a recent death of a rapper named PNB Rock. Now, some of you have probably never heard of him. He was a Philadelphia rapper, and he was recently with his wife in Los Angeles at a Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles. Now, I've been there before. Not that impressed, but I've been there, and his wife was posting about where they are, what they're doing, etc. And minutes later, armed gunmen came and murdered him and robbed him in the store. Now, I need everybody that follows my ministry to listen to what I'm saying now, because a lot of times I post these videos and people will say stuff like, well, who cares about that stuff? That what does it have to do with XYZ? Well, what you need to understand is that a lot of these events that are happening are not what you think they are.
These are not just random people getting killed. This is not just some normal robbery taking place. These are actual, this is what I believe, this is my conviction. I believe strongly. It literally hit me in my spirit that these are ritual killings. Many of these are actual ritual killings. They are not random murders. They're not random robberies. These young men have, in many ways, exposed themselves to all kinds of dark forces. There was another young man. His name was Pop Smoke. He was murdered the same way. Extension, the same way. And the list is endless. There was a kid in Tampa, I believe he was in Tampa, a rapper, who was actually murdered on his live video. While he's talking on the video, his opposition comes and finds him, and they murdered him. Now, I'm trying to explain to you guys, I don't see, we've made the issue about not giving your address online and not sharing your details and being aware of your surroundings and all that kind of stuff. And I'm sure that stuff is important. We should be aware of our surroundings. We should not just give our details to random people. But I'm telling you right now, some of these things are ritual killings. Because anytime you make a covenant with the devil, he's coming for blood. Anytime you make a covenant with the enemy, you have to sacrifice something. And many of these killings are human sacrifices. That's why you'll notice with celebrities, what will happen is that if one of them rises to fame, you know, like a celebrity rises to just this astronomical fame, usually something very tragic will happen. There will be a sacrifice of someone they love, you know, a close associate, a loved one, a spouse, a child. I mean, I could go, the list goes on and on. I can name celebrities, I can name singers, rappers, whatever, whose lives are snuffed out prematurely. So here's what I'm trying to explain to you. Many of you don't realize that the music industry is entrenched in Satanism and witchcraft. Not, you know, it's the fact that I'm even exposing this on this live video is something that they don't want you to hear. They don't want you to know this. They don't want you to know this. There's a reason why your children have acted the way that they have after they listen to that music. It's a reason why the things that go down in those concerts go down the way that they do. It's a reason why certain situations transpire when certain music comes on. When I was a kid, I remember listening to rap music, and I would literally go into a state of depression while I was listening to the music. It's such...
Okay. Anybody got any comments on that? Okay, so I played that for a reason. So let's look at it. We know back in the day from information I've been putting out is that these angels, these fallen angels, when 200 of them came down through Bethel at where Jacob had the dream at and saw the angels coming through the portal at Bethel, right? So those 200 angels, that's a portal where they come in at into this dimension. So they came in, they went from there, they went to Mount Hermon. And then from Mount Hermon, they went to Egypt. So we know that these angels, these fallen angels, they the ones requiring human sacrifice on these mountains. How we know that? The Canaanites. They're the children of these giants, of these fallen angels. And so they going up in these high places, in these mountains to deal with them, and they requiring them to give them sacrifices, human sacrifices. So Yahweh ain't requiring no human sacrifice. So if you're dealing with somebody that's want to human sacrifice, it ain't Yahweh. So we know from doing research and writing dividing scriptures that these were fallen angels. Well, guess what? Look what the brother just told you. They still sacrificing. So they was talking to these angels back then, and these angels was demanding them to give them sacrifices. Well, they ain't gone nowhere. They still doing. They still talking to them now. They still giving them sacrifices. But they ain't registering. Like I said, the New Testament got you all thrown off on all that. But they still doing the sacrifices now. To who? The same beings that the Canaanites was giving sacrifices to when they was doing it back in the day. We saw how Lucifer tried to trick off Samuel, tried to trick off Abraham when it came to Isaac. So they still doing it today. Who the rappers are? Israelites. Come on. Let that ferment, okay? So I'm gonna anybody got any comments or anything they want to say? I'm gonna read out of the book of Jasher. I'm gonna read chapters 26. Okay. Let me get it. All right. It says, and in the 59th year of the life of Isaac, the son of Abraham, Rebekah, his wife, was still barren in those days. And Rebekah said unto Isaac, truly, I have heard, my Lord, that thy mother Sarah was barren in her days until my Lord Abraham, thy father, prayed for her, and she conceived by him. Now, therefore, stand up, pray thou also to God, and he will hear thy prayer and remember us through his mercies. And Isaac answered his wife, Rebekah, saying, Abraham has already prayed for me to God to multiply his seed. Now, therefore, this barrenness must proceed to us from thee. So let's look at that. Okay, let's break this down. I don't know who has the book of Jasher and who don't, but it says in chapter 26, verse 1, in the 59th year of the life of Isaac, son of Abraham, Rebekah, his wife, Isaac's wife, Rebekah, his wife, was still barren in those days, right? That's when you can't have no children. And we know that the Lord of hosts is the one behind it. Got a womb closed, right? So, and Rebekah said unto Isaac, truly, I have heard, my Lord, talking to Isaac, right? Well, in this book, in the book of Jasher, when it say my Lord, it's lowercase. So she's talking to her husband, Isaac, and Isaac is her Lord, but it's lowercase, right? Then keep going. That thy mother Sarah was barren. So the same thing happened to Sarah, was barren in her days until this Rebekah talking, my Lord Abraham. So Isaac her Lord and Abraham our Lord. But Isaac her husband, but he lowercase. He lowercase L. Abraham our Lord, but Abraham large, capital L. Let that ferment. Say, says, and thy father. It says, thy father prayed for her, and she conceived by him. Now, therefore, stand up, pray thou also to God, and he will hear thy prayer and remember us through his mercy. So remember what I just said. So she told Isaac, her Lord, to pray for us, right? And Isaac turned around and told her in verse 4. Isaac answered his wife, Rebekah, saying, Abraham, that capital L, has already prayed for me, right? Already prayed for me to God to multiply his seed. That Abraham had prayed to the Lord of hosts for me, for Isaac, to God to multiply his seed. Okay? Now, therefore, this barrenness must proceed to us from thee. And Rebekah said unto him, see what's going on. Say, okay, says, but arise now, thou also, and pray, that the Lord may hear thy prayer and grant me children. And Isaac hearkened to the words of his wife, and Isaac and his wife rose up and went to the land of Moriah to pray there and to seek the Lord. And when they had reached that place, Isaac stood up and prayed to the Lord on account of his wife, because she was barren. So if you go back, when we was reading the other day, when Moses took two of his servants, he took his number one servant, Eliezer, he took Ishmael, and he took Isaac, and they went to Mount Moriah to pray. I mean, to sacrifice. And that's when Samuel was trying to trick him to get to sacrifice Isaac, because they went to Mount Moriah. That's where the temple was eventually built at, Mount Moriah. Okay? So anyway, he says, and Rebekah said unto him, but arise now, thou also, and pray, that the Lord may hear thy prayer and grant me children. And Isaac hearkened to the words of his wife. And Isaac and his wife rose up and went to the land of Moriah to pray there and to seek the Lord. And when they had reached that place, Isaac stood up and prayed to the Lord on account of his wife, because she was barren. And Isaac said, O Lord God of heaven and earth, whose goodness and mercy fill the earth, thou who didst take my father from his father's house and from his birthplace, and did bring him unto this land, and did say unto him, to thy seed will I give the land, and to thou didst promise him, and did declare unto him, I will multiply thy seed as the stars of heaven and as the sands of the sea. Now may thy words be verified, which thou didst speak unto my father. So I want to shine a light on this right here, because this is major. I mean, I'm tired of all these rubberneck Negroes want to twist the scriptures, right? So it says, Isaac talking in verse 6, chapter 6. Isaac said, O Lord, look at that, O Lord, God of heaven and earth, whose goodness and mercy fill the earth, thou who didst take my father from his father's house and from his birthplace, and did bring him unto this land. Let's look at that. See what he's talking about, and see who it is that did that. Okay, I'm in King James. We're in chapter 12 of Genesis. Chapter 12. Okay. Let me get it. That's right. Okay. Chapter 12. I'm starting at verse 1. Chapter 12 says, now the Lord, same Lord that Isaac was talking about. Now the Lord had said unto Abraham, get thee out of thy country and from thy kindred and from thy father's house into a land that I will show thee. This is what Isaac just talked about in Joshua. And I will make thee a great nation, and I will bless thee and make thy name great, and thou shalt be a blessing. And I will bless them that bless thee, curse him that curse thee, and in thee shall all the families of the earth be blessed. And Abraham departed as the Lord had spoken unto him. This is what Isaac is talking about. And Lot went with him, and Abraham was 75 years old when he departed from Haran, right? And Abraham took Sarah, his wife, and Lot, his brother's son, and all the substance that they had gathered, and the souls that they had gotten in Haran, and they went forth to go into the land of Canaan, and into the land of Canaan they came. And Abraham passed through the land unto the place of Sichem, unto the plains of Moriah. See that? Same Moriah. And the Canaanites was then in the land. Here we go. And the Lord appeared. See that? The Lord appeared unto. Okay, let's look at it. Make sure I got the right page. The book fell apart. You got to excuse me for a minute. 26. There you go, right there. So, let me see. 27. Okay. Let me see. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, pages are messed up. Give me a minute. Okay. Yeah. Say 29. Okay. 30. Hey, this said, saying the Lord appeared unto Abraham and said unto him, thy seed will I give this land, and there build the altar of the Lord who appeared unto him. So we know this ain't Yahweh because he appeared to him. Yahweh ain't appeared to nobody. So we go to Genesis 18. Let's see who it is. Right? Genesis 18. And the Lord appeared, see that? Unto him in the plains of Mamre, and he sat in the tent door in the heat of the day. And he lifted up his eyes and looked, and lo, 3 men stood by him. And when he saw them, he ran to meet them from the tent door and bowed himself toward the ground. Right? So we know these 3 angels. So the Lord is one of these 3 angels. So Abraham in verse 3 says, and he said, my Lord. He bowed himself to the ground and said, my Lord, if now I have found favor in thy sight, pass not away, I pray thee from thy servant. So he out of the 3, he went to the Lord and bowed down because he appeared to him in verse 12. Chapter 12, what Isaac talking about. That's who Isaac talking to, this angel. And he told him, you the one brought my father out of from his where he was living at and brought him to the land of Canaan. And he blessed him, right? So we see these 3 angels came. One of these angels is the Lord of hosts, the Redeemer of Israel, not the God, not the Creator, but this the Redeemer of Israel. Isaiah 44:6. So now let's look and see what Abraham says. We're in chapter 48. Genesis 48. Okay, and it says, this is when Abraham got ready to bless Joseph's 2 sons. 48 and 12. Joseph brought them out from between his knees, and he bowed himself with his face to the earth. And Joseph took them both, Ephraim in his right hand toward Israel's left hand, and Manasseh in his left hand toward Israel's right hand, and brought them near unto him. And Israel stretched out his right hand and laid it upon Ephraim's head, who was the younger, and his left hand upon Manasseh's head, guiding his hand willingly, for Manasseh was the firstborn. And he blessed Joseph, and he said, look at this. He said, God, before whom my father Abraham and Isaac did walk, the God who fed me all my life long unto this day, the angel which redeemed me from all evil, bless the lads, and let my name be named on them, and the name of my father Abraham and Isaac, and let them grow in the multitude in the midst of the earth. So we go back where we was at, right? We're back over here in Genesis. And he says, Isaac said in verse Genesis, Jasher 26:6, and Isaac said, O Lord God of heaven and earth, whose goodness and mercy fill the earth, thou who did take my father. Yeah. It's Michael, Lord of hosts. Okay. Say, who did take my father from my father's house and from his birthplace, and did bring him into this land, and did say unto him, To that seed will I give the land, and thou didst promise him, and didst declare unto him, and I will multiply thy seed as the stars of heaven, and as the sands of the sea. Now may thy words be verified, which thou speak unto my father. So my point is this here, like I said, I'm all the way burnt out on it. You know, you gotta take your emotions and feelings and all this stuff the white man gave you and stick it up in a Coke bottle somewhere because it don't mean shit. Because I just broke it down and shown you it's an angel. So you feeling a certain way because I'm showing you it's an angel, that's on you. You do what the hell you want to do. But we see from line upon line, precept upon precept, scripture upon scripture, it's an angel. And if you got some other doctrine you can concoct it, you got to do something with it. Okay? Burn out on it. So anyway, verse 7 says, for thou art the Lord our God, our eyes are toward thee. See that? Toward this angel right here that's dealing with Abraham, that deal with Abraham, right? Toward thee to give us a seed of men, as thou didst promise us. For thou art the Lord our God, and our eyes are directed toward thee, right? So I keep saying over and over again, you waking up as Israelites, that's cool. But you ain't waking up to go around telling everybody you're an Israelite. You waking up to find out who your God is. The El, the strong one, is over you. That's why you being awakened to, so you can bring him back. They done denigrated him. He riding off our worship and our praise. He ain't dealing with no other nations. So you been awakened to find out who your God is. You wake up and find out who your God is, and then you dealing with the law. That's cool. But I mean, you got people over here that understand who the Lord of hosts is. You look like a damn fool. You say you submerged in the law, but you don't know who the hell your God is. Come on. Come on. Okay? And the Lord heard the prayer of Isaac, the son of Abraham, and the Lord was entreated of him, and Rebekah his wife conceived. And about 7 months after the children struggled together within her, and it pained her greatly that she was weary on account of them. And she said to all the women which were in the land, did such a thing happen to you as it is to me? And they said unto her, no. And she said unto them, why am I alone in this among all the women that were upon the earth? And she went to the land of Moriah to seek the Lord on account of this. And she went to Shem and Eber, right? So you see this? It says she went to Shem and Eber, his son, to make inquiries of them in this matter, and they should seek the Lord in this thing respecting them. So you don't have a book of Enoch, and you don't read this. I mean, and then somebody's telling you about it, then you looking all crazy because you're saying what you talking about. Well, you've been hoodwinked. Like I said, if you don't know by now who you dealing with, and they liars. They lying to us right now every day about the Ukraine war. So when you read this, it's not nothing wrong with this. It's something wrong with what they gave you. The lie they gave you, the lies they gave you. This right here is correcting the lies. Okay? And she asked Abraham to seek and inquire of the Lord about all that had befallen her, right? So she ain't go nowhere and put on no prayer cloth and looking for the Lord. She went to Abraham. She went looking for Abraham. Okay? And they all inquired of the Lord concerning this matter. And they brought her word from the Lord. See that? They had to bring the word. Abraham had to bring the word to us. Come on. And they all inquired of the Lord concerning this matter. And they brought her the word from the Lord and told her, 2 children are in thy womb. See how they didn't twist it off? Like I say, you shouldn't be surprised. Hell, okay, all the lies you done found out just recently, over the last year or two. Okay? So he says, 2 children are in thy womb. This is what Abraham them told, not Yahweh. He says, 2 children are in thy womb, and 2 nations shall rise from them, and one nation shall be stronger than the other, and the greater shall serve the younger. And when her days to be delivered were completed, she knelt down, and behold, there were twins in her womb, as the Lord had spoken to her. And the first came out red all over like a hairy garment, and all the people of the land called his name Esau, saying that this one was made complete from the womb. Now let's look at that. Let's look at this. It's crazy right here. So it says the first came out red all over like a hairy garment, right? Now watch this. The first came out red all over like a hairy garment, and the people of the land called him Esau. I thought it was Abraham, Isaac's son, and they was naming it. Go back to how Saul became king. The people of the land made Saul the king. They wanted Saul. They wanted a man tall like the giants was to be king over them. So they the ones chose Saul. Lord of hosts chose David. So look right here. And the first came out red all over, and the people of the land called him Esau. Isaac and Abraham ain't calling Esau. Come on. So what did they tell you? They saw something going on that they hoodwinked us on. Okay, so that this one was made complete from the womb, and after that he came out his brother, and his hand took hold of Esau's heel. Therefore, they called his name Jacob. Now let's look at that. So Jacob's name, so they tell us, is a usurper, right? But we know we looking today at people with the hairy and red hair and red head. They ain't complete. So look what it say. It's a dead cat on the line. That this one was made complete. See that? That's Esau. He was made complete from the womb. Now he get to Jacob, and after that came his brother, and his hand took hold of Esau's heel. Therefore, they called his name Jacob. And Isaac and the sons of Abraham, Isaac the son of Abraham, was 60 years old when he begot them. And the boys grew up to their 15th year, and they came among the society of men. Esau was designing and a deceitful man, and an expert hunter in the field, and Jacob was a man perfect and wise, dwelling in tents, feeding flocks, and learning the instructions of the Lord and the commands of his father and mother. And Isaac and the children of his household dwelt with his father Abraham in the land of Canaan, and God had commanded them. And Ishmael, the son of Abraham, went with his children and all his belongings to them, and they returned there to the land of Havilah, and they dwelt there. And all the children of Abraham's concubines, went to dwell in the land of the east, for Abraham had sent them away from his son, and had given them presents. Given them, let me see, present, and they went away. And Abraham gave all that he had to his son Isaac, and he also gave him all his treasure. And he commanded him, saying, "Do thou not know and understand the Lord is God in heaven and in earth, and there is none other besides him. And it was he who took me from my father's house and from my birthplace, and gave me all the delights upon the earth, who delivered me from the counsel of the wicked. For in him did I trust, and he brought me to this place, and he delivered me from Cashin, and he said unto me, to thy seed will I give all this land, and they shall inherit them shall inherit them when they keep my commandments, my statutes, and my judgments that I have commanded thee, and which I shall command them. Now therefore, my son, hearken to my voice, and keep the commandments of the Lord thy God, which I command thee. Do not turn from the right way, either to the right or to the left, in order that it may be well with thee and thy children after thee forever. And remember the wonderful works of the Lord and his kindness that has shown toward us, and having delivered us from the hands of our enemies, and the Lord our God caused them to fall into our hands. And now therefore keep all that I have commanded thee, and turn not away from the commandments of thy God, and serve none besides him, in order that it may be well with thee and thy seed after thee. And teach thou thy children and thy seed the instructions of the Lord and his commandments, and teach them the upright way in which they should go, in order that it may be well with them forever. And Isaac answered his father and said unto him, that which my Lord has commanded, that will I do, and I will not depart from the commands of the Lord my God, and I will keep all that he commanded me. And Abraham blessed his son Isaac, and also his children. And Abraham taught Jacob the instructions of the Lord and his ways. So now let's look at it. I just showed you how Rebecca was talking, and she said that my Lord Isaac, he was lowercase. And then she said, my Lord Abraham. Abraham was a big K, capital L. Well, let's look at it right here. Isaac talking. And Isaac answered his father and said unto him, that which my Lord, see that, capital L, has commanded, that will I do, and I will not depart from commands of the Lord my God. I will keep all that he commanded me. And Abraham blessed his son Isaac, and also the children. Also will I keep his children. And Abraham taught Jacob the instructions of the Lord. Okay, capital L, and his ways. And it was at that time that Abraham died. And in the 15th year of the life of Jacob and Esau, the sons of Isaac, all the days of Abraham were 175 years, and he died and was gathered to his people in good old age, old and satisfied with days. And Isaac and Ishmael, his sons, buried him. And when the inhabitants of Canaan heard that Abraham was dead, they all came with their kings and princes and all their men to bury Abraham. And all the inhabitants of the land of Haran, and all the founders of the house of Abraham, all the princes and grandees, and the sons of Abraham by the concubines, all came when they heard Abraham's death. And they requited Abraham's kindness and comforted Isaac his son, and they buried Abraham in the cave which he bought from Ephron the Hittite and his children for the possession of his burial place. And all the inhabitants of Canaan and all those who had known Abraham wept for Abraham a whole year, and men and women mourned over him. And all the little children and all the inhabitants of the land wept on account of Abraham, for Abraham had been good to them all, and because he had been upright with God and man. And there arose not a man who feared God like unto Abraham, for he had feared his God from his youth, and had served the Lord, and had gone in all his ways during his life, from his childhood to the day of his death. And the Lord was with him, and delivered him from the counsel of Nimrod and his people. And when he made war with the 4 kings in Elam, he conquered them, and he brought all the children of the earth to the service of God, and he taught them the ways of the Lord, and caused them to know the Lord. And he formed a grove, and he planted vineyards therein. And he had always prepared in his tent meat and drink to those that passed through the land, that they might satisfy themselves in his house. And Lord God delivered the whole earth on account of Abraham. And it was after the death of Abraham that God blessed his son Isaac and his children, and the Lord was with Isaac, as he had been with his father Abraham. For Isaac kept all the commandments of the Lord, as Abraham his father had commanded him. He did not turn to the right or to the left, from the right hand, from the right path which his father had commanded him. Okay, so that was Joshua chapter 26. Anybody got any comments on anything they heard? Want to shine a light on something? Okay, everybody good?
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
All right. Here we go. Let's say shalom, everybody, and I'll see y'all everybody tomorrow at 8 o'clock on Clubhouse. So with that being said, I want to say shalom, shalom, and another shalom.